What's up, guys? Welcome to another episode of the Gouache Universe podcast. I'm that comic book artist that discusses comics, science fiction, and pop culture news, all while changing the universe, one subject at a time. Happy day, happy day. Good lucky day, lucky day. We got some good news today, this week. Actually, this came out last weekend. No, not last weekend, but last week. Wesley Snipes may be returning to the role of Blade in some entity or some form or fashion in the MCU. Now, this comes as a total, well, I wouldn't say a surprise to me, but it's kind of shocking since, um, you know, the Marvel Cinematic Universe had already found somebody to take over the role of Blade in Mahershala Ali. So I was kind of thinking that okay, they kind of put Wesley Snipes' version of Blade on the back burner, but I'm like, heck, man. I mean, they bringing back everybody else in Marvel past. They bringing back a lot of the people from the Fox universe. In Deadpool 3, and we've already had some people that have come back. Patrick Stewart came back in Multiverse of Madness, and so why not have the OG? Let's just be honest. There would be no Marvel Cinematic Universe without that first Blade film, which came out way back in 1998. Because during that time, Marvel was going through somewhat of a bad time. I mean, they were actually, in fact, I think they did file for bankruptcy. You had certain elements of the comics that were doing pretty good. Namely the X-Men was like the big money maker back for the comics, but as a company as a whole, Marvel was doing really bad. And when that first Blade film hit and became like a massive success, that's what set the stage for X-Men, which came out I think 2 years later. Spider-Man, which also came out about 3 years later, and that kind of set Marvel back on the map. And of course, we later got other Marvel films, like Fantastic Four, the one with Jessica Alba and Chris Evans. We got, of course, the one that really started the, I guess, the MCU connected universe, so to speak. We had, the first Iron Man, but it would all be for naught if not without what Wesley Snipes and that first Marvel film did to kind of put Marvel back on the map. So why not have that? Would be fitting to have Wesley Snipes return to the role that kind of set all this stuff up. And actually, I remember before Mahershala Ali came into the picture, I remember before that Snipes was initially talking to Kevin Feige and the team at Marvel in just that, bringing back, the character of Blade in some capacity. And so I was kind of excited, back then. And I think this was like, this had to be, I would say 2018, 2019, somewhere around there. I remember, he himself, Snipes himself was saying that he, was in discussions and he was, back and forth in meetings, with Marvel, and they were talking. And the next thing Mahershala Ali came into the picture, and the next thing that he's doing the new Blade. So I was like, oh what's going on with Snipes? That kind of took the sail out of the wind out of my sail there for a minute. But because Kevin Feige actually mentioned how Mahershala Ali came into the picture. He said that of course Mahershala Ali had just won an Academy Award. I think he either won or he was nominated for an Academy Award for Green Book that came out earlier that year. And Mahershala Ali actually was the one that came to Kevin Feige and the team over at Marvel and said, hey, I'd like to do a new Blade film. And from what Kevin Feige had said, he mentioned something to the fact that, hey, when you get an Academy Award winning actor who comes to you and says he wants to do a project, boom, let's do it. And I was like, well, I mean, okay, but I mean, you know, I don't know. I mean, that for me, that's kind of, I wouldn't have went that way. I mean, even though he's got an Academy Award, launch a pitch, throw a pitch. You still got to go through the process, not just based off of, you know, I guess that's how it works in Hollywood. You go off of your clout or whatever. But not saying that he's not a great actor and he can't bring something, fresh and new to the part. But I mean, I don't know, Kevin Feige. I would have left that story to myself. I mean, let him go through the same process of you know, putting out a pitch for what he wants to do with the project, like everybody else. Not just come say, hey, I want to do you know the new Blade, and boom, just greenlight it. Yeah, I mean, that's just what I would have done. I would have said, okay, Mr. Mahershala Ali, what's your pitch? We're talking to Wesley Snipes over here, but what's your pitch? And then if we like it, then we'll move forward. Not just let's just do it. Because you're an Academy Award winning actor. I mean, that's just how I do things. I mean, that's what I would do. If I was in the boardroom making the decisions. But anyway, so yeah, man, I was excited. That Snipes was coming back, man. I mean, he's Snipes is in good shape. He looks good. I mean, if any of you guys have seen, the Expendables, you already know he still got it. He still can, move. And for Mahershala Ali, I mean, like I said, he's a great actor, but Snipes was coming at you from every angle. Not only was Snipes a great actor, but he was also a professionally trained martial artist. I forget which belt that he has, but he was actually doing those martial arts stunts. He actually has the chops for it. So I know Mahershala Ali is a great actor, but can he perform those stunts? And see, that was the cool thing about Snipes, is that you knew he can actually do those things that he was doing in the movie. Those kicks and all those martial arts moves and things like that. I mean, he was just the man. So Mahershala Ali, that's like he's got big shoes to fill. If he's gonna do that role, and it's kind of like, man, it's so hard to see somebody else in that role besides Wesley Snipes, because Snipes was just the man in that role. I mean, he was born to play that character. That first Blade was just classic, man. That's just legendary. That's one of the films that really inspired, me and my comic. If anybody knows my comic, the main character has a sword. And, that sword play is loosely based off of what Snipes was doing in that first, in all those Blade films, For me, that first Blade film was my favorite. The second one, I enjoyed that one too, but not as much as the first one. But it was still a step up as far as like action and adventure and things like that. And but that third one, I got to say, the only good thing about that one was actually Wesley Snipes. But I understand where it was coming from, because they got another director. You had the script writer who took on the directing, and then for whatever reason, Blade, the character of Blade, was written as third fiddle in his own movie, and it was all about the Night Stalkers. And that movie, the less said about that movie, the better. But overall, you can't deny Snipes and what he brought to the role. Like I said, even in that third one, Snipes was the gem. And just the prospect of him coming back to reprise that character, oh man, it just does my heart good. So let me read this comes from Looper, and from what I hear, this is a pretty reliable source. It says Marvel rumor Wesley Snipes Blade will return, and we might know how. Okay. And this is coming out from multiple sources. I mean, this has been gaining traction all weekend. So I believe since Friday, it's been gaining traction. A lot of the credible sources have been, publishing this. So, of course, it caught my eye. But anyway, it goes on to say Wesley Snipes may be returning to one of his most famous roles, of course, as the vampire hunter Blade in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Oh, man, can you just pause there for a second? Just can you imagine that? Snipes' version of Blade in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Oh, man. Anyway, But it might be more than a simple cameo. According to scooper Daniel Richmond via Patreon, even with an MCU Blade movie starring Mahershala Ali set to begin filming later this year, Snipes is reportedly being eyed and may already have signed on to return as Blade for multiple films in Marvel's Multiverse saga, which makes sense. This multiverse saga that the MCU is doing right now is just mind blowing. I mean, they're going, they're getting from everybody from Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man to, Andrew Garfield's Spider-Man to Hugh Jackman to all the Fox characters returning from, it's rumored that, Jennifer Garner's Elektra is somehow going to be returning, and it's all leading up to Secret Wars, which is going to have an amalgamation of pretty much everybody who's ever appeared in a Marvel movie, dating way back from as far as like 2000, 98, 2000 or whatever. So, it's not surprising, even if they do bring Mahershala Ali on as the new Blade moving forward, it still makes sense that you would bring Snipes back to, play along in this multiverse saga that Marvel is doing right now. But anyway, the article goes on to say, while Snipes' time as Blade appeared to be over after Ali was cast in the upcoming reboot, like I mentioned earlier, Richmond's report hints at a potential variant of Blade existing in the multiverse alongside Ali's main MCU version. Man, can you imagine that? Two Blades. One of them is kind of like Snipes is passing on the torch to the younger Blade, or, in some capacity or the other. Man, that just sounds exciting. The rumor suggests that Snipes will reunite with his former Blade Trinity co-star Ryan Reynolds in the much anticipated, allegedly cameo-filled Deadpool and Wolverine. I doubt it. I don't know. I doubt that he's gonna appear in Deadpool and Wolverine. Of course, I don't know, but I doubt it. I think it's more likely that he would appear in Secret Wars, as opposed to Deadpool and Wolverine. But hey, who knows? If true, Snipes will be joining other iconic characters returning from past Marvel films, such as, of course, Hugh Jackman's Wolverine and several other X-Men related heroes and villains, including Tyler Maine's Sabretooth and, of course, like I mentioned earlier, Jennifer Garner's Elektra from 2003's Daredevil. Yeah, man. Snipes, man. Man, this is exciting, man. I hope this is true, man. I hope Snipes comes back as Blade. It would be a nice gesture on Marvel and Kevin Feige's part to kind of honor the past and honor, the things that made it possible for this current MCU that we have, that we know and love right now, that all started with that first Blade film. So all you guys out there, man, if you haven't seen that first Blade film, man, just the trilogy. I mean, even the third one, I would give it a watch. But the first one and the second one, definitely. Those are must-see Marvel films. Because without those, we wouldn't be here today. And that, like I said, those Blade films they just kick butt, man. I mean, they were just badass, man. Snipes was just nasty in that role, man. He was born to play that character. And just the thought of getting him back again, it's amazing, man. I know he's a team player, because he said plenty of times that he's open to coming back to the role. It's just up to the guys at Marvel now. I mean, it just seems too much like right for them to do it. So just do it, But anyway, guys, you can make sure you comment and tell me, are you looking forward to Blade coming back? Snipes' version of Blade coming back? You should be. I know I am. Yeah, let me know what you think in the comments. All right.